the league lost 50% of its ratings.
Yes.
So when you see this downward 8-year NBA trajectory, it's been gradual.
Yes.
I don't know how long. The ratings were so large, it led them to land a huge media rights contract.
WNBA, and they set all-time ratings records. If Caitlin Clark's not in this, the list is nonsense. Who did the list? Time Magazine?
Yeah.
And there's no Caitlin Clark?
No, I don't think so.
That's idiotic. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Colin Cowherd just went absolutely ballistic on Time Magazine, and you need to see this. He's furious that Caitlin Clark, the rookie who's shattering records and bringing millions of new fans to women's basketball, got completely ignored while Breanna Stewart made the list. Seriously.
But here we are. Caitlin Clark was not on that list. Now, let me understand this, okay? Caitlin Clark exploded ratings. I don't know how long. The ratings were so large, it led them to land a huge media rights contract.
Clark is averaging insane numbers as a rookie and crushing TV ratings everywhere she goes. How does Time justify this snub? Cowherd didn't hold back at all, and his reaction is exactly what every Clark fan is thinking right now. Colin Cowherd is absolutely furious with Time Magazine, and he didn't hold back one bit. He called their decision to snub Caitlin Clark from their influential list the most ridiculous sports snub in years. I mean, this wasn't just criticism. This was Cowherd going nuclear on national television.
Realize this, Time Magazine released a 100 most influential people in the world. Caitlin Clark did not make this list, and a lot of people noticed it, including Colin Cowherd.
How does Time Magazine ignore what's happening right in front of our eyes? Cowherd asked, his voice practically shaking with disbelief. Caitlin Clark has single-handedly transformed the WNBA landscape in months. Not years, months. He pointed out how arenas that were half empty last season are now completely sold out whenever Clark and the Fever come to town. The numbers don't lie, and Cowherd made sure everyone knew it. Clark's rookie campaign has been historic. 17-plus points, 5-plus rebounds, and 8-plus assists per game. Those aren't just good rookie numbers. They're unprecedented for any first-year player in the W. You know who puts up numbers like that? Cowherd asked. All-stars, veterans, not rookies fresh out of college. But what really seemed to set Cowherd off was the TV ratings explosion. He broke down how Indiana Fever games were barely registering on the ratings chart before Clark arrived. Now, they're outdrawing several NBA regular season matchups. When was the last time WNBA games were getting higher viewership than NBA games? I'll tell you when, never, until Caitlin Clark arrived.
Nafisa Colin, what makes someone worthy of a times 100?
How is Caitlin Clark not in this?
That's a joke.
WNBA, and they set all-time ratings records. If Caitlin Clark's not in this, the list is nonsense. Who did the list? Time Magazine?
Yeah.
Cowherd didn't mince words about Time's decision-making process either. Do they even watch sports over there? Or did they just make this call based on politics instead of performance? He was practically red in the face at this point. This isn't even debatable. When you look at impact, pure, measurable impact, nobody in women's basketball is touching what Clark has done this year. The veteran sports commentator then pulled out what he called his receipts, a lengthy list of records Clark has already broken in her brief WNBA career. Most three-pointers by a rookie, fastest to certain assist milestones, merchandise sales records shattered. The evidence is overwhelming, Cowherd insisted. What's particularly interesting is how Cowherd connected this snub to what he sees as a pattern. The basketball establishment seems determined to minimize what Clark is doing for the women's game. Why? Because she's changing it faster than they can control, and that scares people.
And after a Caitlin Clark game, they had made the most money at that game of any game they've ever had off ticket prices. Why? Because people were willing to pay more. Caitlin Clark was not included on Time Magazine's list of the 100 most influential people of 2025, which released on Wednesday.
The pattern gets even more revealing when you look at who Time actually placed on their list instead of Clark. While Caitlin's games are causing ticket websites to crash from demand, Breanna Stewart matches sometimes struggle to fill even half the arena. But guess which player Time decided was more influential in 2024? That's right, the established star over the revolutionary rookie. Look, nobody's saying Stewart isn't talented. She's got the hardware, multiple championships, Olympic gold medals, MVP awards. She's been dominant. But Cowherd broke it down perfectly. This isn't about career achievements. This is about who's influencing the game right now. And the numbers don't lie. Cowherd pulled up the Nielsen ratings that showed Fever games featuring Clark averaging 1.8 million viewers, while New York Liberty games with Stewart typically draw just 600,000. That's 3 times the audience. And when they played each other, nearly 2.3 million people tuned in, the highest rated WNBA regular season game in 23 years. Remember what the Indiana Fever were last season? A 13-27 team that nobody outside of Indianapolis cared about. Now, they're the hottest ticket in sports.
And there's no Caitlin Clark?
No, I don't think so.
That's idiotic. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Cowherd showed how the Fever went from 4,000 fans per home game to completely sold-out arenas overnight. Clark didn't just make a bad team relevant, she made them the main attraction in women's basketball, he said. The business side is even more mind-blowing. Ticket prices for Fever road games have jumped 500% in some markets. Think about that. Fans are paying 5 times more just to see Clark play for 40 minutes. Cowherd showed footage of LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, and even Kim Kardashian showing up courtside specifically to watch the rookie phenom. When was the last time you saw that level of star power at a regular season WNBA game? Cowherd's most provocative point came when he questioned Time's true motives. Is there an agenda to protect the established stars while trying to slow down Clark's meteoric rise? Because the social media numbers tell the real story. He displayed analytics showing Clark's posts generating 10 times more engagement than any other WNBA player, including Stewart. Time magazine just proved they care more about protecting the old guard than acknowledging the future of women's basketball, Cowherd declared, delivering his knockout punch. They're on the wrong side of history here. So what Cowherd said about Time magazine goes way deeper than just leaving Clark off some fancy list. This is about the old guard being terrified of what's happening. Clark isn't just changing the game, she's completely flipping the WNBA business model upside down. The basketball establishment can ignore her all they want, but the fans aren't having it. Every single night, Clark's army grows bigger, and that's what scares them the most. While the suits at Time magazine play politics, Clark is busy creating her own legacy. And honestly, missing from some magazine list will be the smallest footnote in her story.